What's up with it, guys? It's the Arthur Fonzarelli of Expat Relocating, aka the Dandada, the white monkey conglomerate. We educating the youths and we teaching you how to live your life. So today we're gonna discuss pros and cons between Vietnam and Cambodia. So I would say, me personally, I haven't lived here as long as I've lived in Saigon, but I've been here 3 times, and now I think we're coming up on maybe about 4 months now. It'd be something like that.
I think so.
And so far, I like Phnom Penh better. I'll be totally honest with you. If we're putting Phnom Penh versus Saigon. If you're looking at it as a whole country, obviously Vietnam has a lot more to offer. There's a lot more in terms of like biodiversity and changes in landscape. You have places where it even snows in Vietnam. You know, you have much more kind of like larger share of the Central Highlands.
Yeah, Vietnam is so long. Like, I don't even know. How long is it?
I know from Saigon to Hanoi, it's about 24 hours driving.
Okay.
You know, but also because of the roads, so I don't, you know, as I don't know.
Yeah, there's not like a highway all the way.
No. I would say in terms of infrastructure, probably Cambodia is a little bit behind, but it's developing fast, and it's way better than the first 2 times I came here. There's a lot more convenience. There's a lot more things that are just make the experience of being here very, very streamlined.
Easy, yeah, really easy.
I like the tuk-tuks a little bit better, to be honest with you. I feel like they're safer. They're cheaper because we're using 2 people rather than each person having to take a separate motorbike.
Right.
I think it works out to be cheaper. I guess like anything, you know, Grab is kind of a necessary thing in this part of the world, because before they had these rideshare apps, like when we first came out here, it was just dealing directly with tuk-tuk guys, and then we ended up renting a bike, and it was just
harass you though.
Oh yeah.
The tuk-tuk guys would harass you.
Yeah, they would harass you. You wouldn't.
Coming in the restaurant, tuk 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 tuk.
Yeah, you would never be able to get out of, like, you know, a coffee shop for 2 seconds without some guy screaming tuk tuk and following you. And I mean, it was way more jacked
Terrible,
up.
terrible.
It's a lot better now. The apps have kind of deaded some of that. I mean, there's still some guys who are out there screaming tuk tuk at you every time you walk by. But
it's only our area, I think.
Yeah, and like near the riverside, I think it's not great over there.
Touristy area.
And our area has a lot of embassies, so they just kind of assume everybody over here is rich. It's a big building, so there's a lot of people that are rich that are coming in and out of here.
Sure.
So I don't know. I mean, I think the Grab and the rideshare apps have made it better. It's taken away a lot of the scam and the hustle and the things that make, you know, at times Phnom Penh kind of stressful. But, you know, Saigon has all those same problems, and I would say the same thing, like for transportation. You know, if you're using rideshare apps, I would have to still give the advantage to Phnom Penh, because the tuk-tuk, you could put 2 people in a tuk-tuk and you can only put 1 person on the back of a motorbike.
Right.
I mean, officially, you know. So if I had to choose between the 2, I think with rideshare apps, they're both reasonably safe, and I would give the advantage to Phnom Penh, because I prefer the tuk-tuk culture. If we're talking about nationwide transport, I think it's probably better in Saigon, because you have the limo bus system that interconnects the cities.
Overnight buses.
Yeah, you can go from Saigon to Moi Ne, you can go from Saigon to the Mekong Delta on these limo buses.
They have the train.
They have the train. They have a train here too, though, now. They have a train. I have not taken the Cambodian train. We'll have to check it out. But yeah, I mean, in terms of infrastructure, Vietnam, I think, is a bit ahead. But it also comes with way more people, way more population, way more pollution. I think Phnom Penh's a lot less polluted. I mean, what do you think about the difference between Phnom Penh?
Air quality in Phnom Penh is light years better than Saigon. Like, Saigon is so much worse than here. It's like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's not fantastic here, but it's way better.
It's way better than that. Way better than that. Here is what, like New York or something?
Yeah. No. Like the size of New York?
No, the air quality.
Oh, no. Yeah, on average, it's worse than New York.
It's worse. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like China normally, but they get more clear days than you're gonna get in Saigon here for sure. But there's just way less people. It's way less industrialized. If we were just gonna put architecture, you know, Vietnam has a lot more big cities. So there's a lot more diversity in architecture, lifestyle. Phnom Penh is the big city for Cambodia. Sihanoukville is kind of like a growing city. Siem Reap is not much more than a small town, really. And Battambang also feels like a small town.
Small.
Whereas, you know, in
Campat.
Yeah, Campat. You know, whereas in Vietnam, you're gonna see, you know, several cities over a few million people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in Vietnam.
Even in Can
Way
Tho.
more than here.
Even Can Tho, I think, is over 1 million people. So it's a big difference, guys. I think there's a lot more opportunity to make money as an employee in Vietnam. Like if you just want to just work for someone else and make money, I think Vietnam's definitely better. And you know, there's a lot higher salary if you're going to teach English, or if you're going to work for any kind of other private firms or things in Vietnam, because it's just a larger market. Especially,
there's more people.
You know, there's more people, and there's a lot of wealthy people in Hanoi, Saigon,
more
Haiphong.
kids too.
Yeah, and a big city, all the big cities have industry for the most part of some kind. Some are more reliant on tourism than others, whereas here, you know, you do have some industry, but you can see that tourism is also like a massive contributor, like probably much more so than Vietnam. But that leads to the, you know, some other advantages for you as an expat. Cambodia is much friendlier to deal with. They're much easier. Would you say the same? Like,
yeah, you just like you pay straight up for 1 year. That's it.
yeah, it's easy.
It's a once a year thing. You know.
And if you do want to get legal and open up a company, you know, we can help you with that. Let us know. If you want to get totally official, it's not so expensive.
And the thing is, like, you're not tied to an employer here.
No, you can. They're still allowing people to just come in on business visas, extend them by 6 months, 1 year.
Your visa is your own.
And you know, they've been continuing with the visa on arrival, at least at the making of this video.
Whereas in Vietnam, you know, once you get your TRC, which is a visa, good for 2 years, it's tied to one employer.
Oh yeah, they own you, and
so if you leave that job, your TRC is garbage, basically.
Yeah.
You can't transfer it.
And you have to be very careful, because you know, more and more Vietnam is like actually starting to check these things, and they're starting to really put pressure on foreigners.
Well, do you think it's stricter?
Oh, it's much stricter in Vietnam.
Stricter, right?
But then you know, I think both are kind of the same, with the arbitrary rule enforcement and like some bonehead security guy chasing you around and trying to bother you to do something stupid.
It's terrible.
It's bad here, really bad here, but I think it's also really bad in Vietnam.
Whatever.
This is just a Southeast Asia thing, like where, you know, nobody's watching each other, so one guy is bothering you while the other guy's sitting with his shoes off on top of his motorbike, and it's like, you know, there is a lot of like that kind of like total incompetence, but yet trying to enforce rules in a strict but incompetent way, if that makes sense.
And that's the same for Cambodia and Vietnam.
Exactly. I think
it's the same.
There's no difference with that.
It's absolutely the same.
I would say the advantage here was it doesn't seem like they go so far with it.
Yeah.
You know, Cambodia's more chill.
You're still able to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, like when they locked down the city, people could still go to a grocery store. People could still go shopping. You know, Saigon like got real crazy, and I don't know exactly how it is now, because I live here now, and mostly I just talk to my contacts over there about business-related things. It's from what I understand, most of the day-to-day life is very much back to normal. The thing that's not back to normal is the thing you guys don't see, and that's what's going on in the back with the business visas, with the TRCs, the stuff that we deal with all week long, the problems that we encounter during the week. If you knew the amount of bullshit that goes into staying in Vietnam for a long time, Cambodia would be the better choice. But if you don't have so much money, or you're really dependent on being a teacher, then Vietnam is probably going to be better. I think Cambodia is better for an entrepreneur, for someone who wants to open a business.
Yes, you can 100% fully own here in Cambodia.
You can also have a hard title on real estate. I think you can't own the first floor of a building, but there's still ways to do it. You can work with these companies that can buy, part of the property as your partner, and it's set up in a way to protect you. And so, we can help you guys with all that if you're interested in getting property or land here too. It's just a lot easier to do things like that. I think it's just much easier to do business in Cambodia, period. I like both places. I don't know. I definitely find that Cambodian people are extremely friendly when you get a little bit outside of the center of Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh is not such a friendly city, in my opinion.
Way more people speak English here, though.
They do. English is spoken much higher. I found Saigon to be much more like just over the top friendly, like running up to people like, oh my God, where are you from? But I think that's also because they don't see foreigners as much.
Some people don't.
I think here in Phnom Penh, it's more inundated with foreigners, and obviously Siem Reap is inundated with foreigners. And I think if you were to go to a more touristy part of Vietnam, like Nha Trang or something, the locals would be less friendly in the center, the tourist areas. So I don't think that's all that different, but I don't find Phnom Penh to be like an over-the-top friendly city. But I do find everywhere else I've gone in Cambodia for them to be crazy friendly. And like every other place I've been.
Siem Reap.
Yeah, Battambang, Kep, Kampot, everybody's super nice. I think it's just, life in the big city, people get tired of, traffic, stress.
Pollution, stress.
Yeah, having to work all the time, so they're probably not their most jolly selves, whereas if you go out to the province, people are probably chilling a little bit more, life's a little bit
Working
more simple.
less.
Yeah, maybe, or just working in what their traditional work is, and it's just what they're comfortable doing. Big cities in Southeast Asia for me, guys, long term. I don't really want to spend much more time in them.
They are not walkable.
No, you need to drive.
I mean, like at least here is a grid. Phnom Penh, most of it's a grid, but still not walkable. It's too fucking hot, and shit is way too spread out.
It's dusty.
Imagine we had to walk for food shopping.
Oh yeah.
Carry all that shit back.
It's dusty, it's hot, it's dirty. I mean, but that's just the Southeast Asia life. It's a motorbike life. If that's what you like, then that's what you should go for.
Yeah.
I mean, for us long term, we prefer what we experienced in like Eastern Europe.
Walkable.
Yeah, walkable, access to nature.
Good coffee.
Kind of a more of a pedestrian-focused society. But if your heart is set on Southeast Asia, and it's a business thing, and you're choosing between Phnom Penh or Saigon or Phnom Penh or Hanoi, I think the big question you're going to need to ask yourself is, what are my priorities coming here? Do I just want to work for someone else and teach? In which case I would say, depending on your documents, Saigon or Hanoi, or do I want to try to create my own business, or do I want to like invest and just use maybe a little teaching to kind of supplement my income until my business is successful? Then I would have to say Cambodia 100%.
Right.
The thing with Cambodia is it's going to be very difficult for you to make any real money outside of Phnom Penh. Whereas in Vietnam, you can go to Hanoi and still make good money, Haiphong still make good money.
There's other places besides Ho Chi Minh City.
Even some provincial places, Bien Hoa, will pay well. It just really depends where you end up, There's a lot more choices, there's a lot more opportunity in Vietnam, but there's a lot more bullshit with visas, there's a lot more randomly throwing expats out of the country, there's a lot more extortion, there's a lot more problems with suddenly the government leaning in a more isolationist, not wanting so much foreign influence in the country, like what we've seen since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's not unclear to me. The writing is on the wall. When you make your investment capital to open a company $100 grand, you're sending a message. You don't want foreigners in the country unless they're very rich.
Right.
And I mean, you don't need to be very rich to have $100 grand, but that's quite a lot of money for a country like Vietnam, to be expecting people to pay that much to be there. Whereas you can come over here to Cambodia, and with only a few G's, you can have a whole company set up here, and it's much less.
$6 grand or something.
Yeah, much less investment capital. There's a lot less involved in it. You still have to pay Social Security contributions. You still have to do some stuff, but it's much easier to do it here than it is to do it in Vietnam. And it's much less likely they're gonna do something really crazy to you just for no reason, you know. Here, they audit, they check, you know, you make sure your bookkeeping is good, but it's not like so just constantly changing, increasing the fucking amount of investment capital. We had a customer that was trying to open a company, and in the middle of him trying to open a company, they doubled the investment capital. And like, how does that look to him? We're coming to him and telling him he needs to put up all this extra money. It looks like we're trying to get over on him, but people don't understand how arbitrarily Vietnam changes the rules. And
Overnight.
they do that here too, but it just doesn't seem like as much, and it doesn't seem to really affect.
Not as often.
It doesn't affect us as much, you know. It's
Not
been,
nearly as often either.
No, and it's been pretty reasonable. Like, even since the opening, they were the first to do away with the masks.
Right.
I mean, some people are still crazy here with the COVID thing. Some buildings are still fucking crazy, but for the most part, it's definitely started to like ease up at least.
Settle down, yeah.
Yeah, at least from the authorities. They don't have any restrictions. You don't have to wear a mask. I mean, it's up to you. I wear it anyway because, you know, dust and pollution from the cars and the bikes. But you know, you're not being forced to. You're not being mandated to. So, I mean, I guess
nice.
If you have a degree and you just like want to teach English and focus on making money, then I would say you could go to Vietnam because you could get yourself a high-paying job in the north or down in Saigon. But if you have like other ambition and you want to like be self-employed, or you're a digital nomad,
open your own business or something,
open your own company, or you have an online income, I personally like Cambodia better. What about you, Mish? Give us your opinion. What do you think of Cambodia versus Vietnam from the perspective of a Mish?
I don't know. I mean, some pros and cons. Well, I think the apartment options are a little bit cheaper here, in my opinion. I've seen like nicer, bigger apartments here for less money than like what you would get in Ho Chi Minh City, District 1, District 3, District 2 even, you know.
Well, even the building we live in, we're paying basically the same we paid in Saigon, but we have a way better view and we're like 20 stories higher.
And we're in the center, like we're literally in the center of the city.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the geographic fucking point.
Like when you put it, yeah, that's us.
Yeah, that's us. Yeah, so.
Shit is crazy.
I don't think you can go wrong with either.
Well, yeah. What else? I was gonna say about electricity. So I think the electricity here is more expensive.
No doubt.
Way more expensive here than in Vietnam, and literally everything's electric. So the stove, you know, everything is electric.
I'd say internet seems to be bad in both. In and out. When it works, it's crazy strong. When it doesn't work, it's just.
It's more frequently out here.
Yeah. I would agree, but it was pretty bad in Vietnam too.
Yeah.
I remember there's plenty of times where it didn't work.
We had to call the guy. Yeah.
You know, and no matter how much they moved around the router, there was always a fucking problem. And
water is. I think it's cheaper here with the filter.
Well, we're using the water filter now, which is the way to go if you're going to spend any significant time in Southeast Asia, guys. Buy yourself a little water purification system for the home.
Yeah, I'm sure they have those in Vietnam too, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, we weren't really onto that back then, you know. We had delivery with water. In some buildings it was included, in some buildings it was so cheap that it didn't really matter.
Yeah, it was like 50 cents or something.
For the big, what was that, is that a 10 liter? Or something like that. It was a large.
I think it's huge, like 20 liter maybe.
Maybe a large tub of water.
No idea.
It was very cheap, so it wasn't. You know, that was pretty arbitrary. I would say Phnom Penh for food seems to be more expensive to me. But some things in Vietnam can be very expensive too. Although I found that in Vietnam I was able to find Japanese food way cheaper, sushi much cheaper, Korean food of a good standard.
There's more competition, that's why.
Yeah, here there is. It seems like they have good food, but some of it's not that cheap. Like,
no,
you know, even
it's like $5 to $7.
Even like sometimes Khmer food can be surprisingly not so cheap. Like, I don't know. There is places you can eat very cheaply here and still have good quality food, but I think for like the whole vastness of local food, I definitely would kind of give a little bit of an edge to Vietnam. You know, just having eaten in Hanoi, having eaten in Saigon, Da Nang, They're just doing stuff on a crazy level over there with food.
Yeah.
And with coffee and
It's so different.
It's very different.
Very different.
The food here is bomb. I love the curries. I'm a big fan of their curries here. The amok and the Khmer curries are amazing.
Fish amok. You must try it.
Yeah, and their salt and pepper fish or squid or whatever the fuck they make. It's all really good. But I don't know, like Hanoi.
Peppercorn. The
black peppercorn, yeah, that stuff's really good. But I gotta say with Hanoi, like those little like cheap baguette spots, but like high quality bread, ready to go, yeah.
Crispy bread.
And like fucking just the cafe game up there. Like I would have to give a little bit of an edge to Saigon for like for like innovation and stuff like that. Hanoi for like rooftop bars, classic kind of culture. Here there is a lot of cool rooftop spaces. There is stuff going on and people utilizing some of the old buildings, but not exactly the same way that both the two big Vietnamese cities are. I think they have the lead in that. I think for nightlife, I don't go out so much personally, so I couldn't really tell you. I would imagine that Phnom Penh has got a lot of clubs and bars. I see them all the time. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure it's fine. I don't think you're going to have a problem. For getting a job, you don't need a degree officially in Cambodia to be a teacher. So if that's what you want to do, this is an easy place to do it. Vietnam, you don't need to have a degree to teach. Anybody telling you that is fucking lying. But you do have to pay if you don't have it. If you don't have any documents that you're supposed to have when you apply for a work permit or a TRC, we have to pay what's called a service company, and the cost goes up a lot. So if you have all the required documents for Vietnam, it's not terribly expensive to get set up. If you don't have the required documents, it can get expensive. Whereas here, if you want to teach, or if you got a job at a restaurant, or if you got yourself a job at a hostel or something, like it's not so much to do really. You're going to need to get a work permit, but it's not going to cost so much money. You're not going to need to show a whole lot of degrees or documents unless it's in a specific thing that requires that, by law. A lot of things like teaching, they don't even count it. Like I don't even think you need to have a degree to work in a university here officially as a teacher.
That's crazy.
So I mean, there's definitely it's easier to get into the industry out here, but you're going to get treated a lot worse here. You're going to get paid a lot less if you want to be a teacher. Whereas in Vietnam, you'll get paid more, you'll get treated better, but there's also more companies that will try to hurt you. They'll try to like not pay you or play games and get you blacklisted because they control your visa.
Yeah, we've heard some real horror stories lately.
Yeah, I mean, just over the years, even doing this, there's been some fucking horrific sideshows.
Especially with COVID.
And now a lot of those schools are hurting for money, and they lost a lot of money, and they lost a lot of teachers. So extorting you to stay by holding your passport over your head and saying, listen, we'll throw you out of the fucking country. That's not going to happen here, guys, in Cambodia. So that's an advantage.
No, they don't own your visa, like I said.
Well, they just,
it's your visa.
Yeah, it's your visa. You're not, your employer can sponsor your visa, but you can, if you lose it, you can just cross the border, come back and get another visa. So it's not like
of your own.
Yeah, it's not like this crazy catastrophe where you're going to end up on a fucking blacklist possibly, or having some disaster to do with the immigration that you got to deal with, or it's not like that, guys. It's just a much smoother situation here, much easier to deal with anything to do with immigration here, or opening businesses here. Lots of advantages for Cambodia for the entrepreneur. For the strict worker, just wants to make money, Vietnam is definitely the spot. There's way more big cities, there's way more opportunity, higher salaries. The country is incredibly beautiful. It's very inexpensive once you get outside of Hanoi and Saigon. The rest of the country is very affordable. I would say in terms of value, both countries are extremely cheap when you get outside of the major cities. But the major cities are where you're going to most likely get money. I know people think it's romantic. Oh, I want to go live in Da Nang. You're going to make fucking $10 an hour, be treated like shit, and fired at the end of every fucking year because they can replace you.
Yeah, so sad.
Well, they just don't need you. there's a line of other foreigners willing to do the same fucking job for less. Whereas in places like Saigon, Hanoi, it's, you know, the market is bigger, there's more demand, it's harder to get foreigners, especially since COVID and since all the purges. Whereas, you know, here in Phnom Penh, it's still very easy to come here, relatively speaking. You can find jobs, some of them are shittier than others, and again, it depends who you know, which is why we're here to help. You could end up getting a really crappy fucking job here too, but again, your life won't be ruined if you leave them. And that's an important thing to remember. So anyways, I'll just leave it with my opinion. So far, I like Vietnam for what it is, for its beauty, its nature, its warm people. The food is fantastic, the cafe culture is fantastic. There's so many good things about Vietnam. But because of all the crazy shit around visas and all the shit that they did over the pandemic, I feel much more comfortable in Cambodia. And honestly, I think I like it better. I mean, I think Vietnam more like a place I would travel, and Cambodia more like a place to live. Now, what about you? Give us your final synopsis.
Well, I was going to talk a little bit about the food.
All right.
Because we didn't mention it. But I think actually, like, some of the fruits and vegetables are cheaper in Vietnam.
And better. There's better selection.
Better quality, yeah.
Produce.
Better quality, cheaper, delivered straight to your door, you know?
Definitely better coffee. I mean, they have good coffee here, but there's fucking so much coffee in Vietnam. So.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think in general, the produce is cheaper there in Vietnam.
And more plentiful, more dried fruit, better like kind of stuff like that at the markets for sure.
Fresh produce is way more, way better.
Definitely a big advantage for Vietnam.
Cambodia, on the other hand, seems like they have more imports from Australia, USA, you know? They have more products like cereal, I don't know, shaving stuff from there, import from there.
Yeah, I mean Mexican imports. I get adobe sauce that I put on my fucking homemade burritos and quesadillas and shit that I'm making at home. You know, I can get Mexican imported products here. I can get that in Vietnam too if you go to some of the foreigner food stores, but it's not much. Here it's like almost everywhere you can find tortillas. Like, it's very Western friendly here.
Yes.
Very easy
like
to
I
find.
Said, a lot of imports from Australia and USA.
You know, like the convenience factor of the things you can get, especially if you're someone who still likes certain things from back where you come from. The only thing I will say is I find food to be far more expensive here when it comes to like any kind of Western food or imports or cheese.
Like
cheese is way cheaper in Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
Groceries even. Going out to eat, I guess it depends where you go in either country, but I still think Vietnam's cheaper for the quality. Like, you know, I've had 50-cent bowls of pho that are extremely high quality.
Right.
You know, so
yeah,
I would say, you know,
have better local produce.
But I still kind of prefer Cambodia because I don't have to look over my shoulder so much and always be worried about whether my relationship with some company is going to stay good or go south. The peace of mind you have here, and you also know,
absolutely,
you've seen them at their worst during the lockdown, and they didn't cut off food. They didn't like make it impossible for you to live. I mean, that says a lot. Me personally, I'm done with this COVID shit. I don't want to live in a country that's still fucking clinging to this, you know?
And coming from Eastern Europe till here, I feel like we went backwards.
You know, I'm not gonna go into like whatever opinions there are on it, whether it should be or it shouldn't be. All I'm gonna say is most of the rest of the world is picking up and shoving along, and I don't want to have to still have people fucking, you know, telling me when to do this or when to do that. It's just, and you know, this is one of the reasons why I don't think long term I want to be in Southeast Asia anyway.
Wear a mask.
They're too crazy with fucking rules, and it's just, you know, I like the vibe in the Balkans for myself personally, but I don't fault you if you like it out here, guys. And if you're interested, this is part of my business. I've spent a lot of time in this part of the world and I love it. I think you can't go wrong if you go to Cambodia or Vietnam. Both are great places, really cool, lots to do. You can definitely make money in all these places. But Vietnam's gonna offer you a lot more in terms of job opportunity, variety, like Mish said, probably cheaper food, definitely more diverse food, more cafe culture, more just everything more because there's so many fucking more people and there's so many more expats.
Yeah.
A lot more expats too if you go across the whole country. But Cambodia is very, very chill and very easy to work with.
Did we talk about the beaches?
And well, beaches is off the top, guys. Vietnam is world famous for its beaches, its islands, but Cambodia still has some nice ones. And the thing is you could fly from here to Thailand or Vietnam very easily.
It's so close.
It's so close. I mean, it's only a few hours bus ride to Saigon from here, so it's not really that big of a difference.
I think it's pretty cheap too.
And there is some really cool stuff that is in Phnom Penh. I think they do way better with maintaining waterfronts here, turning them into like pedestrian spaces, big boulevards. Like I said, Hanoi is up there with like probably my most beautiful city in Southeast Asia. But this is not far behind. Penang, Phuket Town, Hanoi.
Oh, yeah.
Phnom Penh is up there with them for sure. This is a beautiful city, really beautiful city. I would say both countries you have to worry about scumbag expat degenerates who are out there teaching English, and they're working in the only job that will literally use somebody who's so useless. These fucking people who come and they just like end up being slobs who teach English forever for the rest of their fucking life in Southeast Asia because they can't elevate or do anything better for themselves. I think both of those are a real thing in both countries. Like the standards are low and you can always pay to get around requirements. But I think people who come there, they use the teaching as a stepping stone to opening businesses, doing things. It also can happen in both countries. It's just that if you're really entrepreneurial, I think Cambodia is a much safer investment. But you still get a lot of drug addicts, sex tourists. You still get a lot of fucked up people here.
Yeah.
You get that in Vietnam also. You get a lot of mentally ill people in both countries. Again, because it's so easy to just come out here, and as long as you're white, it doesn't matter if you're a fucking drug addict, it doesn't matter if you're a drunk, it doesn't matter if you're a no education, you're a total dodo, somebody will give you a job teaching English somewhere. There's just no question about it. It's just, Vietnam, they're going to have more bureaucracy, and here there's going to be less. That's all it is, guys. So it's who you choose to hang around with. There's a negative and ugly side to both countries in terms of the expat scene, and there's a positive side. And I think one thing that people don't realize, they often only focus on the negative side of the expats in Phnom Penh or in Cambodia, but I have met some awesome people out here, awesome people doing really cool stuff. Everybody from our jiu-jitsu club, one guy owns a vegan restaurant, one guy is designing jiu-jitsu rash guards, one guy owns a hostel. I mean, there's just so many different people doing different interesting things from all over the world here.
Very, very entrepreneurial.
So just because there is like tweakers and drug addicts and sex tourists doesn't mean that that's the entire situation. And I think people who just come to Phnom Penh for a short time, they see the riverside, they don't really know how much more cool stuff is actually happening here. And if you go out to like Siem Reap and other parts of Cambodia, very cool places, very beautiful, very chill, very cheap. So
yeah, really cheap.
For me, both are really good. I hope this kind of like gives you a little bit of an idea of like our opinion. I don't really
pros and cons.
Yeah, we're not like writing down a fucking list. We're just kind of trying to brainstorm and like freestyle for you guys.
I think we covered most of the topics.
So that was our trip to the Vanatak Sky Tower also. So that's what you've been watching while we've been talking, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. The place is cool. We ended up spending about $16. And we got an appetizer, which was some popcorn shrimp that was with some kind of Japanese mayo, super fucking good. Actually a good amount of food too.
Yeah, really
and
good.
A Pellegrino, $16. The views were bananas. The rain came, we had to run inside. I definitely think I like the more relaxed of Vitaco, which is the tall building in Saigon more. But then I kind of like the classiness of this. And I like
it was very comfortable.
And how it's open and just like, I don't know, it's very, very cool. I like it.
Very comfortable vibe.
Yeah, I think, and Landmark 81 is the tall one in Saigon, but I gotta be honest with you, I don't like the way it's set up all that much. It's okay. I think I really enjoyed tonight's tower out of the two better. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe, share, smash the like button. If you guys are thinking about coming to Cambodia, Vietnam, hit us up. We're coming to Thailand next. So we'll, probably by the time you see this video, we'll already be set up in Thailand. So just give us a message if you need help out there too. We can do anything with visas in Thailand. We can set you up with real estate people. We're putting our footprint down there, and then after that, it's gonna probably be Malaysia, possibly the Philippines. There's a lot more to come, guys. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and share. So what do you think is safer in general, Vietnam or Cambodia?
I'm gonna say Cambodia, just because of the population. So there's like less people here, less traffic here, less motorbikes here. I assume less snatches here, you know?
Well, I would say they probably are similar, that there's not a ton of violent crime. Generally, it's snatch and grabs, crimes of opportunity. I think they're a little more sophisticated in Vietnam, where they'll work in teams, and you do hear more stories of foreigners getting drugged, or, you know, shady taxis kidnapping some tourist. You hear more of that in Vietnam than you do here these days. I think the rideshare apps has made both countries a lot safer.
Safer, yeah, definitely.
I think from a food quality standpoint, I imagine you're probably in a similar boat in either country.
Food quality?
I would imagine the standards are pretty similar.
Yeah.
I don't think that one is so much superior to the next. Maybe Vietnam has more selection in terms of food, and
yeah, they have more soups and stuff. Here's like more curry.
But I mean cleanliness of it, like you know, hygiene, or, you know, using a lot of chemicals as pesticides. I don't think either country, one is better than the other for that. Most of the rich people shop at certain grocery stores because they know the grocery stores will have standards.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think that one leads the other with that. I would say from a safety standpoint of health, that I think Phnom Penh is healthier. Less traffic, less polluted, cleaner air quality.
Yeah.
Phnom Penh has improved with hospitals. I don't know how good they are outside of Phnom Penh. I've heard Siem Reap has improved also, which is good. Vietnam has some very competent hospitals, but I guess both countries, if it was very serious, you'd want to go to Thailand or to Singapore anyway. From a jiu-jitsu standpoint, I like it here better. There's a lot of clubs in Saigon. There's a good scene. There's a lot of tough people, a lot of nice people, but there's also a lot of drama, and here there's not.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's real chill. I really like it. The jiu-jitsu,
drama free.
And the jiu-jitsu scene here is just so cool. It's such a positive environment, at least so far that I've experienced. I really, really like it. If you guys are thinking about coming out to Cambodia, let us know. If you have any questions, you need help with anything, contacts for visa services, contacts for employment, contacts for real estate. If you guys are thinking about coming out here and, you know, finding a job, if you're thinking about going to Vietnam and finding a job, or you need a long-term visa, or you want some help opening a company, give us a holler. I think you can't go wrong with either place. Are you thinking of living, investing, buying property, buying land, working, or spending any significant time in Cambodia? Cambodia is an amazing country that offers a wide range of different opportunities for someone who has an open mind. If you're thinking about coming to Cambodia for the first time, we offer a consulting service for people who are looking to have everything done for them before they arrive. They want their housing contacts, their employment, their consultants, whatever they want to find in the country, they want it set up. That's what we do for you. We make it easy so that you don't have to worry about scams, problems, or other pitfalls that new expats face in this amazing country.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. We help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.